Welcome to this short presentation about studying pharmacy at the University of Bath. My name is Lyn Hanning. I'm the Director of Practice-Based Learning and Head of Pharmacy Practice. And on behalf of all the academic staff at Bath, we'd like to welcome you to this presentation. We're going to talk you through the range of courses that we offer at Bath and talk about studying pharmacy in particular, the MPharm curriculum and how it is taught. We'll talk a bit about learning in practice and how that supports the academic work that's delivered at the university. We'll talk about the opportunities for studying overseas. We'll also talk about our graduate outcomes and finally show you some of the teaching facilities that we have on offer at Bath. I think the first question maybe is to think about why you might want to become a pharmacist in the first place. Studying the MPharm degree is the only way currently in the UK that you can register as a pharmacist, and the course is a 4-year undergraduate master's course, and then followed by a year in practice known as pre-registration training, and we spend a lot of time supporting our students through the recruitment process for pre-registration places. Pharmacy is a very diverse career. Clearly, many of you will know pharmacists as those being experts in medicine within healthcare. It's the third largest profession within healthcare in the UK. And a variety of roles in terms of the more traditional roles that you might be familiar with in terms of community pharmacy, but also growing roles in hospital pharmacy, in industry, and also multi-sector roles in general practice, and those people that wish to combine all of those things into a more portfolio career. Many of our students have worked in a lot of those areas, and currently we're producing a lot of students who work in either community or hospital or in a mixture of those sectors, emerging roles in general practice and primary care networks, and also students who go on to work in academia, much like myself, or who may have roles within the profession looking at management and leadership roles. So there's a whole range of activities that you might like to undertake on graduation. We currently offer a range of programmes within the department. We offer a taught 4-year and 5-year MPharm programme. So those are the only ones that allow you to register as a pharmacist. The 4-year course currently is for home students, and the 5-year course is available for international students. We also offer BSc in Pharmacology, Masters in Pharmacology, and we also arrange a range of taught postgraduate programmes which are available for those students who have already qualified as pharmacists and then come back. So there's a postgraduate certificate, diploma and MSc routes. We offer them also independent prescribing and advanced clinical assessment. And then there's also a taught postgraduate MSc degree in drug discovery for those who may be interested in that area of practice. We also offer some degrees by research, MPhil and a PhD. So a little more about the degree at Bath. We've been teaching pharmacists at Bath for actually longer than the university's been in existence. So we over 100 years of pharmacists have been produced from what used to be the old Pharmaceutical School of Chemistry in Bristol, and then became the Department of Pharmacy and Pharmacology at the University of Bath when it opened. So we teach a 4-year degree, which is accredited with the General Pharmaceutical Council. It has a full accreditation for the full maximum 6 years that's allowed. This is our new course. It was redesigned and has been now run for the first time and has new graduates from the whole programme. And we're continuing to refine and develop the programme as we go through, but we're really proud of what our graduates are achieving that are coming through our new course. So what's different about Bath compared to other places? Well, we'd like to think the quality of our teaching and learning is really strong. And that comes from an integrated teaching of the pharmacology, the medicinal chemistry, the pharmaceutics, so the formulation of the drugs, and how that's applied into patients, the clinical decision making that goes with that, and the large number of expert research active staff we have in the department who are experts in their field, whether that be the chemistry or the patient-facing roles, that they're able to both combine their passion for their research, but also their expertise in teaching you. We have a large number of clinical pharmacists who teach on the programme who are also involved in helping support you while you're learning in practice, and that's a strength throughout the 4 years of the programme, and also feeds into the placement programme. We also are very strong on simulation teaching, so the teaching that might bridge the gap between the classroom and the real world in practice. And we have a range of simulation-based teaching activities, which include the use of SimMan, so a human person simulator, but also other opportunities for us to simulate pharmacies and virtual wards. That's a whole range of simulation-based teaching. And also really strong links with employers. So that's really important for us, both for placements and also to get you the best opportunity for getting a good job after you've finished. So really strong links with employers in the community pharmacy sector, in the NHS, and also in industry to allow you to practice your skills in real world settings. We're also really proud of the opportunities we're able to offer our students. So some of those that are quite unique to Bath. So an opportunity for you to undertake an overseas placement in year 4. Usually that's about maybe 25% of our students do this, take this opportunity. And there are far-reaching placements all over the world, from North and South America to Australia and to Europe. And I'll say more about that in a minute. Also opportunity for every student to undertake a final year research project. And many of those projects are, and those are aligned to the interest in the department. Many of those projects are either cutting edge lab projects or patient facing projects in practice. And we also have a new placement strand in the final year to allow students to undertake a quality improvement project in real world settings. So all the students go out, they have some choice. They can go to areas that follow their interests. So if they're going to work in a GP practice, they might like to do a project there, or to hospital, or to community pharmacy. And all students also undertake that in their final year. Other thing that distinguishes our courses, I think, are what happens to our students afterwards. We've been really proud of the two cohorts of students that have gone through our new course in particular. So we provide them with a lot of career support. I run a programme that's about preparing students for their pre-registration training and making sure that they achieve the best they possibly can after they've left Bath, and that's really important for us. And that's been measured in 2 ways. And we're really pleased to be a top-rated school in terms of the Oriel NHS recruitment process, and I'll say a little more about that later on. And also top-rated in the exam success that you need to pass your pre-registration exam at the end of the 5-year period of study in order to become a pharmacist. So you do your 4 years at university, you do a year in practice, and then you sit your exams. And our students have historically done incredibly well at that assessment process too. And as I said before, many of our students, and I think you'll find that you can see some associated video on the webpage, but many of our graduates have gone on to undertake very senior leadership roles in all sectors of pharmacy. One thing that is important is that if students choose to register on our course, that they're subject to a fitness to practice declaration. And that's the same with many healthcare courses that are regulated. So the General Pharmaceutical Council have standards, and they apply to all students on the course. All new students need to be DBS checked on registration, and in order to do that, then following on from that, there's a written declaration of medical conditions on a yearly basis, in addition to those taken on upon entry. And students must also self-declare any previous professional misconduct. So let's say a little bit about how the teaching happens and what sort of things we deliver at the course at Bath. So blended learning is the approach we take. So a whole mixture of activities, some of those face-to-face, some of those online, traditional lectures, but also workshops, practicals, laboratory practicals, private study, problem-based learning, which you might do in your tutor groups, where you work together on a problem and learn by solving that problem. Clinical learning in practice, where you would be based in one of the 4 regional hospitals for a period of time throughout your course of study, and also clinical placement, so you're out for periods of time, and I'll say a little more about that later on. Really important for us to transition from assessment of knowledge to application of that knowledge throughout the 4 years. So you might find that in the early years of the course, there's more taught lectures, more university-based courses, and as you move through the course, then perhaps there's less lecture material and more application of that knowledge in small group workshops, but also out in practice. And also a really strong personal tutor system, which we're really proud of, where all students have a personal tutor allocated on admission, And for each academic, and we maybe have tutor groups of 4 or 5, and we follow those students all the way through the course. And so we're the first port of call for any pastoral support, but also for academic support. So we do run problem-based learning tutorials, dependent on what subjects are being studied at the time. And so we have plenty of opportunity to engage and meet with our tutees all the way through the programme. So here's a picture of the course. Now this looks a little complex if you look at it at a first glance, but I'll just talk you through it. And if you start in the top corner, you can see where year 1 and semester 1 and semester 2. Then I'm going to talk you through year 1 through to year 4 with just a little bit in more detail, so you can understand how we teach the subjects and perhaps how some of the concepts roll out and develop throughout the programme. That's the 4-year home student programme, and at the end of year 4, students leave and tend to start pre-registration training. We also offer a 5-year programme for international students only, which allows an integrated pre-registration period of training. Pre-registration training has to be 52 weeks, and so obviously there's no limited vacation associated with that part, and you can apply to that programme as a separate programme. So we're really keen to teach subjects in an integrated way, and that means integrating science and practice, and it also means integrating elements of within the science, elements of different types of science. So the things you're very familiar with, if we start at the beginning of year 1 and we take you from where you left school, for most of our students having A-level chemistry and perhaps biology and maths. And if you don't have A-level biology or you don't have maths, then we put you in tutor groups with students who are in the same, have a similar A-level diet, if you like, as you do. And then we also provide extra tutoring and support for those students. So if you don't have biology, there's introductory biology lessons. If you don't have maths, then you'd be in a smaller maths group for calculation workshops with a larger number of tutors. So important for us that we integrate those subjects. So you can see in fundamentals of pharmacy, healthy body, and the first year is focused on health. And we also look at from molecules to medicine. So we start thinking about taking your sound knowledge of chemistry and applying that to the development and design of medicines. We're also interested in what happens to those medicines in the body and how we formulate those best into medicines. And then we also, even from week 2, we'll start thinking about patients. So one thing that's really important is that we allow you a chance to practice your skills with real patients in as many ways as we can throughout the programme, but in a really safe and supportive way. So we give you plenty of opportunity to learn in the classroom, give you a chance to practice with each other, with actors, with staff. And then when you're ready, plenty of opportunity to talk to real patients in real world settings. The pictures on this slide, one of them shows Lady in Green is one of our practice educators. So I have a team of practice educators who work in the hospital. And then they teach you in the hospital and you go out for practical sessions. So that's her in the other half of her job, working as a surgical pharmacist. And the bottom picture also shows one of our local tutors, that's Ade Williams. He runs a pharmacy, chain of pharmacies in Bristol and takes our placement students. So really important for me that we have opportunity to learn in the real world. So practice-based learning is embedded throughout the curriculum, and it's a real opportunity for you to practice your skills and knowledge in a safe environment. It allows you to become more confident and competent in those skills. Also allows you to think about what you like doing and what you don't. So by the time you leave the end of the first year, you'll have had some exposure to all different types of practice. And certainly by the time you leave the 4th year, you'll have had a lot of opportunity to see a range of pharmacy roles and for you to think about what you like and what you don't like in terms of making your own career choice. We're also, as I said before, utilise our very strong links with the employers. So I have a team of 15 teacher practitioners, so people who work half in practice and half at the university. Some of them are practice educators, like Danny that I pointed out there, and others work for example, Boots and Lloyd's and Day Lewis, so some of the community pharmacies. So we have a range of people who are spending the other half of their time working in patient-facing environments and are really able to make sure that the stuff we're teaching you is as up to date as it possibly can be. So if we look at the programme again, go back to the first year, you'll see the first year there across the middle. And if you look on top of that, you can see that we offer some short experiential placements in the first year, so in community, hospital, and in primary care settings. And then the other question I get asked as well is, so how do you teach me? What are the placements and how do you assess us? So if you look at the bottom of the slide, we also look at assessment. So in the first year, as you might expect, more exams, testing the knowledge we've taught you. Sometimes that's multiple choice questions, short answer questions, and also something called OSCE, which is an observed structured clinical exam. So a chance to see you practice some of your consultation skills in practice. And also some coursework. So there's coursework throughout the programme, maybe a little less in the first year and more as we move through the course, and some problem-based learning activities and continuing professional development entries. If we start to look at the second and third year, you'll see the second and third year look different, and they're taught in a disease systems-based way. So for example, if you look at year 2 in semester 2, we have a unit on respiratory disease, and we do everything in that unit from the medicinal chemistry of the drugs we might use to treat, to the steroids, for example, the physiology of the lung, the clinical diagnosis of asthma, for example. We'll also talk about the pharmacology and how the receptors work. We'll talk about how we formulate drugs into inhalers and how we best get that medicine into the lung, how efficient that happens. But also look to then how do we ensure patients are able to take those correctly. And then we'll take you out to see patients with respiratory diseases in the hospital. And that's the same for all of those units. So if I show you another example, this is the oncology unit. So cancer and palliative care, which happens in the third year, and you can see the same thing. We try to combine the therapeutics of how we teach the condition, the background and how it manifests and how it presents in patients, what information we might need to think about from a clinical decision-making point of view, and then an opportunity to talk to patients with those conditions. And for us also, if we go back one slide and I show you the if you look at the range of topics and clinical diseases, you can see that also some things increase in complexity. So perhaps some of the third year ones require more complex consultation skills, for example, talking to children, talking to patients with cancer, for example. So I'd like you to think that also if we think about the way in which we teach subjects, that we teach subjects in a way in which subjects, topics or concepts become build on each other throughout the years, and they become more complex. So for example, we might do relatively simple respiratory disease in the second year, and then we might come back to it in the third year and perhaps look at cystic fibrosis, or might look at lung cancer, for example. And then in the fourth year, we move on to look at the end of the third year and the beginning of the fourth year, to look at more complex patients. So when patients have more than one condition, multimorbidity or comorbidity. If you look at years 2 and 3, then we increase the volume of placement activity and practice-based learning. So we have CLIP, clinical learning and practice, in each of these specialised units. So as I said, you might go and see respiratory patients in that unit. And we also have week-long placements in the second half of the second year and the first half of the third year, where you spend a week in community or hospital pharmacy. So in those semesters, you do 5 weeks of study at the university, a week in practice, and 5 weeks more study. And that's really important for us because it means that the placements are right in the middle of term. They're really well supported. We're able to prepare you for those really well. And then we can also link them back to the curriculum when you come back. And if we follow the same models we did before and look at both placements and then assessment, you can see that in years 2 and 3, maybe the exams become more applied. So for example, they might include patient-orientated case studies. And then the coursework, perhaps more coursework and portfolios related to your time in practice. But at all times, we're looking for the students to integrate the science, the complex chemistry, pharmacology and pharmaceutics, so the formulation of the medicines and how they are delivered into the body, and then how those processes flow through into clinical decision making about patients. If you look at the fourth year looks quite different. So the first half of the fourth year is primarily spent on a research project. So students might do that in a variety of different models depending on where their project is. You're usually associated with a member of staff and a particular interest, and you have some choice about what you do. And then you spend usually the whole semester, equivalent to the whole semester, studying with them on a research project that you manage. Now, you may do that at home. So many of our students do that at home, but you may also have an opportunity to do that overseas. I'll say a little more about that in a minute. In addition, we also ask students to study the pharmacy management simulation. And this is a really exciting opportunity where students set up and run a pharmacy in real time and spend 2 weeks running a pharmacy on campus, solving real problems. It's set up as a game, so they compete against each other. And it's a really flexible tool. It allows us that as practice changes, as new things come into pharmacy, we can put that straight into the pharmacy management simulation. And so feedback from students is really good and they really enjoy that. And I'll show you a few pictures of that later on. And then the last semester is about preparing students for the real world. So again, medicine optimization in complex patients. So we're looking at the real world patients that you're likely to see as soon as you leave Bath, and giving you lots of opportunity to practice preparing for those patient interactions. We also have a unit on global health, and that's about a lot of what we've taught in the course so far is about near patient decision making. But actually this is about thinking about the local, national, international problems associated with health. And it's taught as a seminar series and then assessed as a presentation and an infographic. So if you look at the fourth year, so then there are these quality improvement placements in the fourth year, in addition to your research project. So again, another opportunity to learn what is a very topical methodology in health at the moment. So quality improvement and help prepare you for practice. And then also if we look at how we assess you, more coursework because you're writing up your research project. And again, that also provides you with writing skills and the ability to critique evidence-based practice, journal articles, and write those up. And then also some exams at the end of the programme. So that's the whole four-year programme and actually the 5-year programme shown all together as an overview. A couple of little elements of the course to just spend a little more time on. First is problem-based learning. So problem-based learning is designed throughout the first 3 years of the programme to help bring these subjects together. Some of the time, some of the things you're studying are quite diverse. So perhaps the legal frameworks for supply of medicines, perhaps your behaviours in consultation skills, but also the medicinal chemistry, the analytical chemistry, and perhaps some of the pharmacology. And so this allows us to bring these subjects together. And the picture shows some of our students presenting at a health fair on campus. We also are involved in an exciting initiative with the University of Bristol Medical School and the University of the West of England Nursing School. So this is about interprofessional education. So for us, this is nurses, doctors and pharmacists learning together. So we have some IPE in each year of the programme. And it means we work hard with other institutions to bring that together. We don't have those institutions at Bath on campus, but the opportunity actually is there to work with other universities, which we found really rewarding. And those slides show you a little snapshot of our conference last year for the first year. So that's 700 students all together having a day of workshops looking at safe and effective and compassionate care. As I said before, there's an opportunity to go overseas. So for about 30%, up to about 30 of our students take that up each year. And they're always, the students go in the first semester of their final year. They study their final year project in that overseas institution. So they only go to places that we have partnerships with. So that might be currently in the existing model, we have students in Australia, New Zealand, New Mexico, Texas, various parts of Europe. And they're where we've got really good research links with a particular lab or a particular member of staff. And the students are allowed to also, they study their research project, but they're also able to join in with other overseas placement programs, so to experience some of the culture in the area that they're in, but also to see how pharmacy is taught and studied and delivered abroad. Just a little more about research projects. So I mentioned before, everybody undertakes a research project. These are the particular areas of interest that our pharmacy department has research expertise in. And so usually what happens is that the academic staff submit some project titles and students are able to pick. Many of us would make sure that our students' work is of a good enough quality that it's suitable for publication, certainly to a poster, to a conference, or perhaps contribution towards a paper at the end. And that's a great start on your CV or after you've qualified. This is an example. This is Yasmin from a couple of years ago, who did a project looking at patients with rheumatoid arthritis and looking at the difficulties they had in using inhalers. That project was published as a great start to her career. So just to finish off, a few things about graduate outcomes and a little about our teaching facilities. So one of the key changes in the last couple of years has been the way in which students apply for pre-registration training. So students undertake a national assessment run by the ORIAL programme. So ORIAL is an NHS a system managed by Health Education England, and students are assessed. All the pharmacy students in the country are assessed nationally and ranked, and then allocated places based on the preference of where they'd like to go. So all the 2,000 students or so in the country go through the assessment process. They choose where they'd like, and student number 1 gets the first choice, all the way down through. We provide a lot of support for our students through that process, and they've done incredibly well, and we're very proud of them. So we've had 3 years now of ORIAL outcomes. So, and these 2019 outcomes reflect those are students who are leaving in 2020, summer 2020. So this is as up to date as we can possibly be. And our students ranked first and second in the 2 assessment processes. So we're incredibly proud of how well they've done. And what does that mean? Well, if I look at the numbers of students, we had a small number who chose not to go through ORIAL for a different reason. Perhaps they got offered a place from somewhere they'd worked previously. But of our students who did go through ORIAL, so about 80, over half of those students ranked in the top quarter of all students in the country. So over half of our students that went through it ranked in the top 500. And many of our students got their first choice, and a significant number got their one of their first 5 choices. All the students have places, and are very much looking forward to starting their pre-reg in the next few weeks, actually. So we're really proud of their success, and really confident that you come to Bath and you study the programme to the best of your ability. This will be a really good starting point for your career in pharmacy. And we're confident that it's not just the support, the career support we provide for the students, but also the way the programme is structured that helps prepare our students for this assessment. The other thing we're really particularly proud of is how well they do after they leave us. So they get their pre-registration training place, and then they have to sit the pre-registration exam at the end of that year, so essentially the end of year 5, in order to become a pharmacist. And our students have consistently ranked highly in this national exam. If we just look back at the last few years, you can see that there's a range of pass rates for each school of pharmacy. And what's important for us is to look at the results for our students. And our students have consistently ranked at the top end of that scale. So a very high percentage pass rate compared with the national average, which is the column you can see in the middle. And then if we looked at where we ranked, then first or second in each of the last 5 years. So really important for us that our students are well placed after having finished the course to get a job, and then when they do get a job, that they do very well and that they pass the pre-reg exam. Just a little bit, just to finish off on other things. So the first bit on that slide there, the first according shows you the pharmacy degree. That's really just the start of your career as a pharmacist, and there are lots more areas of study. Early years study for foundation practice, lots of opportunity for advanced practice, and then even higher than that. And we offer a range of courses at postgraduate level that I mentioned at the beginning that cover foundation and advanced practice. So we look forward to having a lot of our students back. A lot of our alumni come back and study. Well, it depends on where they're working, but many of those courses are run by distance learning, part-time study. Actually, you can be studying in a range of places in order to still come back and continue your learning journey at Bath. And we currently have about 450 students on part-time programmes who are studying whilst working after graduation. So just to finish off, a couple of slides about our facilities. So we have outstanding laboratory facilities on campus, and some of those are specific to pharmacy, and some of those are shared with other subjects in the Faculty of Science. And you can see those on the University of Bath website. But we also have some specific pharmacy teaching facilities. We have the Pharmacy Practice Suite. So that's our main teaching facility where we can teach pharmacy-specific consultation skills, skills associated with the supply of medicines. Has a seminar room, also has our simulation equipment. So at least we have 2 SimMen and a range of other simulated equipment, which we can use to teach in small groups. And then last year we opened our pharmacy simulation suite. So this is a really exciting development for us. Multiple small suites, more consulting rooms. And this is what we use to run our pharmacy management simulation, so our pharmacy game, if you like. And also we can also turn those facilities into a virtual hospital ward and use it for teaching the virtual ward. So really important for us that we've got the right facilities that we need to teach you. So to finish off, I think just to summarise, why Bath? We're really confident that the quality of teaching and learning is first class. We're really proud of our academic staff. The range of research active staff is really important for us, and that their current research is able to feeds into your teaching from day one. We'd like to think that there are a range of opportunities both while you're at Bath and beyond, and that Bath will give you a great first step on your career ladder. And those graduate outcomes I encourage you to have a look at, but particularly oral results and pre-registration training results. And we're very confident that our students do well after they leave us. In leaving the last word to our students, I'd encourage you to have a look at it's a very short video, I think a few minutes worth of video of some of our current students. Most of the pictures in this presentation have all been our students of the last 2 or 3 years. We are absolutely delighted and very proud of what they go on to achieve. So we look forward to welcoming you to Bath, and I would encourage you to look at the rest of the things that are available on the website and then submit an application.